This is the outline of our topics related with IPR, in which there are we'll talk about various international treaties at some point, which is related with IPR. Then we'll discuss various forms of the intellectual property rights, that is, including the copyrights, patents, trademarks, designs, geographical indications, plant varieties, then superconductor chips and integrated circuits, traditional knowledge, biological diversity. All these are different forms of IPR that we will see during this course. Now, when we are talking about IPR, first of all, we have to see what is IPR, or about, first of all, we have to define what is a property. Because IPR means it is intellectual property. So the term property is actually associated with that one. First of all, we want to understand what is a property. Here, you can see that there are tangible properties and intangible properties. Tangible means which you can touch and feel, tangible. Intangible properties cannot be touched. Okay. So tangible properties that can be categorized as movable and immovable assets. Usually, when we say that we have some property, maybe a car or a home or a land, whatever. All these comes as a part of a tangible property, and a car or a TV or your laptop, that may be movable, or your home or land, maybe it's an immovable asset or a property. So, by definition, we can say that a property is actually, it's a bundle of rights that is assigned to an individual. It's a bundle of rights. So when we say that you have some property, for example, you have a car or you have a home, then these property comes with some bundle of rights. For example, in your ancestral home, maybe your grandfather might have written a will so that this property may be used for some particular purpose. For example, you can stay in the home and you can't sell it. Maybe for at least for 25 years or 50 years, you can sell it to or hand over to somebody else. So anybody can set a bundle of rights or transfer a bundle of rights to someone else. So ഇവിടെ നമുക്കറിയാം, tangible ആയാലും intangible ആയാലും, all these properties will have a bundle of rights. So a land may have the rights to you to take all the income from that land, to for example, അവിടെ agriculture income ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതെടുക്കാം, or you can build or construct or even change the shape of the land. All these are the different rights that is associated with the property. അതേസമയത്ത് മറ്റു ചിലത് കാണാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ, മേ ബി യു മൈറ്റ് ഹാവ് ഹേർഡ് അബൌട്ട് കാർഡമം ഹിൽ റിസർവ്സ്, ഇടുക്കി അങ്ങനെയുള്ള സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലൊക്കെയുള്ള CHR മേഖലകളുണ്ട്. And in that case, you are not allowed to cut the trees or alter the ecosystem. You are just permitted to do some cardamom cultivation in that forest area. So the rights which is given to that property is not actually compared with your land, which is having your full rights. Full rights ഉള്ളതുപോലെ ആയിരിക്കില്ല മറ്റൊരു സ്ഥലത്ത് ഉണ്ടാവുക. Anyway, there are a different bundle of rights which is associated with the different forms of properties. So നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കാർ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ കാർ ഉപയോഗിച്ച് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ചെയ്യാവുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒരു പരിമിതി ഉണ്ടാവും. കാർ ഉപയോഗിച്ച് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. You can't use your car for some illegal purposes, or you can't use your car in the road without paying the road tax. So there are limitations, and within that limitations, you have some bundle of rights. Something can be done, something cannot be done with your property. So it is already defined for every form of property. And there are intangible properties also which cannot be touched. For example, your bank account, your shareholders. If you are a shareholder in, for example, in a bank or in a company, that cannot be actually physically manifested, but it's still a property. it adds value to you, and it also gives you some bundle of rights. For example, as a shareholder of a major shareholder of a company, you might be a part of the director board, or you have the rights to decide what to do with the company, or in which area you want to invest. All these things can be decided based on the bundle of rights that is associated with that intangible property. So shares the, or bank accounts, all these things are examples of intangible properties. There are tangible and intangible properties which will be normally treated as a property. Now, when we come to intellectual property, why such a term arises? There are different forms of property already existing in the world. Now, in the modern world, you know that we have the power to commodify almost everything. For example, Kyoto Protocol, in which clean air was made a commodity. You can sell clean air. Purified air can be bottled up, just like water that is nowadays sold throughout the world. Clean air can also be commodified. The Kyoto Protocol is there. And electromagnetic waves are auctioned by the government. For example, you might have heard about the 3G and 4G spectrum, which is already sold by the government, auctioned and sold as a property by the government. And there are, in a similar fashion, it is possible to buy and sell intellect. You can hire any intellectual or any brain. For example, most of the modern or developed countries like US, they hire good intellects from all over the world to employ in their system, and they make profit out of that. And we usually say that it is a part of brain drain. For example, India is maybe India is one of the topmost supplier of human resource. Our main foreign income, or in terms of foreign currency, is actually generated by our intellectuals, or our or human resources that is actually sold outside for the other developed countries. So that's a part of selling our intellect or commodifying our intellect. That's nowadays done. And this type of, for example, selling of the intellect, not human resource, simply human resource. For example, if you are going abroad for working in some company, it's only a manual labor, it's not a part of the intellect. So simply selling our human resource for some labor, for example, those who work in the Gulf countries or some other places where human labor is required, it is not a sale of intellect. But when a scientist was inventing something based on US, and he is obtaining a patent based on that invention. And if that patent or that discovery leads to some pharmaceutical product or something which will be commodified, then that's a sell of that's a commercial commercialization of this human intellect. So usually such companies, large pharmaceutical companies, will hire such persons for their own research, for uh, obtaining the rights of these discovery. For example, a patent invented by a scientist may be procured or purchased by such large firms or commercial companies for their commercialization. Usually it is done. So that can be treated as a part of selling our intellect. It is already practiced in the world. So all this is possible in the IPR region, or where the intellectual property is commodified. Now, intellectual property, it arises from an application of intellect or ingenuity. We can say that it's a property that arises from the application of intellect or ingenuity, and is usually in the form of an idea, a concept, or a design, or a process, etc., which can be ultimately translated into a useful product. So the important part is that it can be translated into a useful product. So your idea, your concept, your design, or the process that you develop, all these are the child of your intellect. And if it can be translated into a useful product, which can have some commercial application, then that is a property. So if it doesn't have any commercial implication, your idea doesn't have any commercial implication, or it cannot be translated into a product or a process with commercial interest, then it cannot be considered as a property. So if it is having some commercial value, then it becomes a intellectual property. So your idea, your concept, or the design that you create, or a process that you develop, anything that can be translated into a useful product becomes an intellectual property. The rights of an individual to derive benefits from his intellectual property and to exclude others from doing so is referred to as intellectual property rights. So, first of all, we defined what is intellectual property, and the intellectual property rights means it's the right of the individual to. It is the right of the individual to make or derive benefits out of his intellectual property and exclude or prevent others from using that copyrighted material or the protected material for financial benefits. So, you have the right to use your intellectual property for commercialization, and also you have the right to prevent others from uh, using your invention or your idea for commercialization. So that property is that rights to use your rights or use your property and also to prevent others from using your idea is known as intellectual property rights. So what we are discussing is that uh, yesterday I was talking about my daughter. She got an assignment from the school. There was a chapter, Vidyadhanam, another chapter in Malayalam. So the main point is that Vidyadhanam, it's Sarvadanal Pradhanam, and the main features of this Vidyadhanam is that you can share it, and this is the only property that will not diminish when you share. അത് നമ്മുടെ എന്താണ് 5ാം ക്ലാസ്സിലെ മലയാളം പുസ്തകത്തിൽ തന്നെ ഉള്ളതാണ് കുട്ടികൾക്ക് പഠിക്കുന്ന സമയത്തുണ്ട്. Similarly, it cannot be stolen. It's a Vidyadhanam, it cannot be stolen usually. And knowledge blossoms when it is shared. അത് അതിൽ തന്നെ പറയുന്നതാണ്. But intellectual property, it can be stolen, because without your permission, if somebody uses your idea, then that can be uh, considered as stolen. But as such, knowledge, it is not to blossom when it is shared. It will not. It will never diminish. And in certain circumstances, such benevolent sharing is not desirable, because even though knowledge blossoms, especially in the open source concept, you can say that blocking knowledge or from sharing is actually it is against the knowledge development. And you have everybody should have free access to knowledge. There are some advocates of open source movement and those who stand against the patents and other things. All these things are there. It's we can say that intellectual property rights is the best option. There are two streams of thoughts, and first of all, I have to mention that one. And I am not an advocate of intellectual property rights. Anyway, since we have to see both these aspects when we are discussing the topic. Because I am not, as I mentioned, I am not an advocate of intellectual property rights. There are some people who actually opposes the concept of intellectual property rights, and they feel that knowledge should be shared freely and made accessible throughout the world freely. Another concept under, but here, anyway, I am not going to that aspect because we will strictly focus on the syllabus where the plus and minus of intellectual property rights will be discussed within the boundaries of the syllabus. Anyway, we can say that knowledge blossoms when it is shared, but in certain circumstances, such benevolent sharing is not desirable. And when one invents something after investing a lot of time, energy, and money and other resources, then uh, then sharing is a problem. For example, a pharmaceutical company, you take the example of a pharmaceutical company who spend millions or billions of dollars for drug development. Take the case of a COVID-19 uh, vaccine or some other medicine that can treat such a disease. Then at one point, the company actually develops these particular medicine will have their own cost. They might have invested millions or billions of dollars in the vaccine development, its drug trials, and various other activities. So they spend a lot of energy, time, and money for that particular activity. So after the discovery, if it is made publicly available throughout the world without any protection, then every country naturally it will be they will be using that vaccine, and the company actually invests on that one will not get paid in normal circumstances. And intellectual property rights is a solution for that one. Any creation of someone's mind should be used under his authorization. That's the concept of intellectual property. If it is a creation of someone's mind, then you have to use it with his authorization. There are robust international systems or treaties to enforce such IPR, and there are enforcement organizations were also present. And now we will, in later classes, we will discuss various treaties and other protection methods, which will cover the different forms of IPR. So anyway, the basic concept is that when somebody discovers something or invents something or a new idea is generated using some money, energy, and resource, then uh, he should be given some incentive to continue his research, to continue the knowledge development. That is the argument uh, of the supporters of the intellectual property. So IPR provides a secure environment for the investors, scientists, and artists, designers, traders, etc., to foster innovation and scientific temper. There are astronomical returns and rewards to the creators and users. So, if the knowledge development is progressing by adding more and more knowledge, by investing more and more money into that one, then the returns of the investors and or the creators and even to the users will be better. For example, if you, for example, a company who works on the COVID-19 vaccine, it is the demand of the time because the users will be benefit out of the medicine which is discovered. And the company will also be benefited from the financial returns through the commercialization of that particular vaccine. So it is if such a protection is not given to the company or the inventor, then the possibility of such a discovery using major investments in that line will be limited if such protection of the intellectual property is not given. Society at a large should also be benefited by such outcomes because you know that the discovery of such medicines or treatment methods is a main demand at the time of such pandemics. So the IPR regime aims to strike a balance between the public and the private rights. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഇതിന് there should be a balance. അതായത് ഒരു മരുന്നുണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ട്, for example, if somebody discovers a COVID-19 vaccine and says that I will sell it to only a particular country, then it cannot be permitted. Or, for example, China develops a vaccine and if they say that I won't sell it in India, so then the IPR protection will not be there because the company can limit such things. There are some rights which is given to the company for commercialization, but that doesn't block the other countries from using the technology if they are not sharing it. So the development, knowledge development is actually it is promoted through IPR, and the overall outcome will be beneficial to the community or the users in terms of the discovery or the product that is generated from that invention. So you can see that after 20 years of 20 years, the patent go to the public domain, and that means the patent expires. Usually, it comes to the public domain so that anybody can use it free of cost. And we'll discuss the different forms of protection in detail later. So right now we are discussing the importance of the intellectual property and why it is required. We discussed the different types of property, including the mobile and immovable assets, or tangible and intangible properties. So intellectual property is actually an intangible property. It cannot be touched and feel. And this intellectual property is the product of the ingenuity or intellect of one's ideas, and that can be commercialized. And it also promotes further knowledge development by giving some incentive to the inventor and investor. Some people claim that no innovation is done in isolation. They result from the incremental innovations, which are on from times immemorial. As I mentioned, there are some people who are against the IPR or who oppose the IPR regime. They say that the invention is actually a product of incremental innovation. For example, if you are not provided with your knowledge free of cost by your educational system, then you should not have invented something. So you are making your discovery on the top of all the existing inventions and the ideas which is contributed to the knowledge, all the world knowledge by the previous inventors or who were contributed to the knowledge development in the previous years. Or during the time immemorial period, we have the education system which developed, or the knowledge system that developed by accumulating all the ideas of the previous communities, or the scientists and or the philosophers who contributed to the knowledge development, and based on that knowledge, you invented something. So it's an incremental innovation. You can't claim the full benefit of your idea and commercialize it. അതാണ് ഒരു പോയിന്റ്. അതായത് നമുക്ക് ഒരു സ്വന്തം ഐഡിയ നമ്മൾ സ്റ്റാർട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് വന്നതല്ല, ഇപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് കിട്ടിയിരിക്കുന്ന ഓൾറെഡി ഫ്രീ ആയിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ലോകത്ത് ഇതുവരെ അവൈലബിൾ ആയിരുന്ന നോളജിന്റെ പുറത്ത് നിന്നിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്, ഈ പുതിയ ഇൻവെൻഷൻ കണ്ടെത്തിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. വിച്ച് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി it's a continuous process in which the knowledge develops, and when a new patent regime arises, what happens is that you are commercializing your invention, which should be given free of cost, just like the invention or the knowledge that is transferred to you. നമുക്ക് ട്രാൻസ്ഫർ ചെയ്ത നോളജ് പോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ ജനറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന നോളജ് നെക്സ്റ്റ് ജനറേഷനിലേക്ക് നമുക്ക് കിട്ടിയ പോലെ ഫ്രീ ആയിട്ട് കൊടുക്കേണ്ടിയിരുന്നു. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് വാസ് ആക്ച്വലി that is the practice for the time immemorial period. And now at some point you are saying that all these developments were actually your own invention, and you won't owe anything to the community, and you want benefit out of that. അങ്ങനെ പറയുന്നത് ശരിയല്ല എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ആർഗ്യുമെന്റ് ആണ് പീപ്പിൾസ് എഗൈൻസ്റ്റ് IPR ഉയർത്തുന്നത്. So many inventions, rather than individual assets, is a social asset. So you can't say that this invention is actually exclusively yours, and there are many components which is contributed by the society or the existing knowledge that is contributed to that one. So further, it is argued that most of the new patents are the result of serendipity. Serendipity means it's ആകസ്മികമായിട്ട് സംഭവിക്കുന്ന എന്തെങ്കിലും. It's ഒരു റാൻഡം ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ആക്ടിൽ നമുക്ക് കണ്ടെത്തുന്ന ഇൻവെൻഷൻ ആണ്. അതായത് പലതും എന്തായിരിക്കണം എന്നില്ല, it's not a product of your ingenuity or intellect. By chance you might have encountered with a new product or new compound or a new medicine which you are going to commercialize. So it is not exactly an intentional discovery made by you. അങ്ങനെയല്ല എന്നുള്ള കേസുകൾ പലതും ഉണ്ടാവാം. So by chance or by random occurrence you might have invented something, and now you are going to claim financial benefits out of that one. So it is not good. That was the argument against the IPR. There is no correlation between effort, outcome and reward. അതായത് ചില കേസുകളിൽ നമുക്ക് പറയാം there is no correlation between effort and outcome. For example, you may spend billions of dollars for development of a vaccine, but you might not have found that one. But some other lab, maybe with minimum expense, with one or two trials, he may by chance encounter a good a medicine or something, or a compound that can be, or a lead compound that can be used as a potential drug. So it's a chance that you come across the optimal candidate drug. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് there is no correlation between the effort that you put for the discovery and the outcome. നമുക്ക് ചില കേസുകളിൽ if you are getting a better product by chance, then there is a better financial reward out of that one. So if you say that you are commercializing a product based on the cost that is incurred, അതായത് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറയുന്നത് ഫാർമസ്യൂട്ടിക്കൽ കമ്പനി പറയുന്നത് എന്തായിരിക്കും, ഞാൻ ഇത്ര $1 ബില്യൺ ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊടുത്തിട്ടാണ് ഈ പറയുന്ന മരുന്ന് കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചത്, സോ ഐ വാണ്ട് ബെനിഫിറ്റ്, ഐ വാണ്ട് ടു റിക്കവർ മൈ കോസ്റ്റ് എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നതെങ്കിൽ there should be a direct correlation between the usefulness of the product അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിന്റെ കൊമേഴ്ഷ്യൽ എന്താണ് ഇംപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ഓഫ് ദ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റും അതുകൂടാതെ അതിന്റെ മേലുള്ള ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റും തമ്മിൽ ഡയറക്റ്റ് കോറിലേഷൻ ഉണ്ടാവണം. ബട്ട് യൂഷ്വലി ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട്, ബിക്കോസ് a simple experiment or without much financial investment you might have discovered some very useful product, or which is a product which is having much more financial implications. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് നമുക്ക് കണ്ടെത്താം. ബട്ട് അതും അതിന്റെ ഇൻവെൻഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന മണിയും തമ്മിൽ നേരിട്ട്, അതായത് പ്രൊഡക്റ്റിന്റെ ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ഓർ ദ യൂസ്ഫുൾനെസ് ഓർ ദ കൊമേഴ്ഷ്യൽ വാല്യൂ ഓഫ് ദ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ആൻഡ് the time and money that's invested on that discovery may not directly correlate. ഒന്ന് കൂടുതലാണെങ്കിൽ അടുത്ത് കൂടുതലാവണം നിർബന്ധമില്ല. So there is no point in arguing that these IPR or patent or some other protection of IPR is actually given as a compensation for the time and money or the invested on that discovery എന്ന് നമുക്ക് പറയാനും പറ്റില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു ആർഗ്യുമെന്റ്. So that is some arguments against the IPR.